The film begins in the room of a late gone too far lady. Her young little girl goes into her room and witnesses her mom's body laid among the wreck. In the current day, the girl, Rose Cotter, Sosie Bacon, is a specialist, approaching her day at work. She manages a hyper-patient named Carl, Jack Sochet. He constantly mumbles about individuals biting the dust, and that he will pass on. Rose endeavors to comfort him, yet Carl goes on with his episode. Rose then, at that point, gets a meeting with a young lady, Laura Weaver, Caitlin Stacy. At the point when Rose meets her, Laura is upset after a new episode where she saw her teacher cudgel himself to death. From that point forward, Laura professes to have been seeing a shrewd presence that appears as others. In the wake of getting some distance from Rose and thinking back, Laura starts overreacting and blowing a gasket. Rose calls for help, however she thinks back to find that Laura has gotten a messed up shard from a container and is presently blazing a disrupting smile. Laura slices her throat before help shows up, leaving Rose in shock. Rose addresses two criminal investigators, one of whom is her ex-Joel, Kyle Gallner, for subtleties on the occasion. She makes sense of what she saw and furthermore converses with her chief, Dr. Morgan Desai, Cal Penn. Afterward, Rose goes to her home that she imparts to her life partner Trevor, Jesse T. Usher, and their feline mustache. Rose and Trevor go to supper with Rose's sister Holly, Jillian Zinser, and her better half Greg, Scratch Arapagla, yet Rose is so damaged from Laura's self-destruction that she speaks harshly to Holly when she rebukes Rose about neglecting Holly's child Jackson's, Matthew Sheep, impending birthday. Rose endeavors to return to work and continue on. She gets a call from Holly, as the two of them apologize for the contention, and Holly asks Rose to essentially get Jackson a birthday present. While they talk, Rose glances through the window and seems to see what resembles Laura somewhere far off. At the point when Rose strolls via Carl's room, he is seen with an upsetting grin like Laura and starts to tell Rose, "You will bite the dust." She calls for help and Carl gets limited by orderlies more than once. At the point when Rose goes to purchase a present for Jackson, she sees a ghost of Laura once more, actually smiling. At home, she can't track down Mustache and is surprised when the security alert goes off. She gets a call from the security organization, yet it ends up being a malevolent element that insults Rose. Over the course of the end of the week, Rose attends Jackson's birthday celebration. At the point when the time has come to give out gifts, he takes Rose's, which should be a toy train. All things considered, Jackson opens the case and tracks down Mustache's cadaver. Everybody blows a gasket, and Rose attempts to guarantee to everybody that she didn't do this, yet she sees one of the different mothers seem to have the substance's malevolent smile. Rose staggers in reverse and falls through a glass table, seriously harming her arms. Rose is brought to the emergency clinic for clinical consideration. Morgan visits her in the wake of becoming mindful of her episode and proposes she get some much-needed rest work. At the point when Trevor brings her home, Rose attempts to account for herself, however he thinks she is freaking out and that she truly killed Mustache. Rose likewise has a meeting with her own specialist, Dr. Madeline Northcott, Robin Weigert, who assisted her with traversing the injury of her mom's self-destruction. Rose starts to do some researching. She plays sound recorded from her meeting with Laura and hears what sounds like a weak breathing clamor. She additionally looks into Laura's teacher, Gabriel Munoz, Felix Melendez Jr., and tracks down his widow Victoria. She advises Rose that Gabriel had professed to have seen dreams of something tormenting him, only days after he saw another lady named Anna Powell end it all. At the point when Rose asserts that she is encountering what Gabriel did, Victoria imagines that Rose is ridiculing her misfortune and she arranges her to leave. Rose visits Joel for help in her examination, notwithstanding his underlying hesitance. He looks into Anna Powell and finds that she passed on by gouging her eyes out. It is likewise detailed that Anna saw a man end it all as well, which is displayed in security film from a corner store where the man is seen with the unpleasant grin before he skewered himself before Anna. At the point when Rose gets back, she finds that Trevor has called Madeline to give a house call meeting since they are worried for Rose's psychological state. Rose lashes out at Trevor, saying that he is more worried about how she will make him look, prompting her stomping out and parting ways with him. Rose additionally goes to visit Holly, trying to account for herself about the birthday. However, Holly won't excuse Rose and says that she is spiraling like their mom did. Rose fires back that Holly never endeavored to show up for their mom and that she needed to deal with her until the end. Rose returns to the vehicle and seems to see Holly stroll back to her, however it is only the element tormenting her. Joel accompanies Rose to a jail where she meets the last one standing of the revile, Robert Talley, Lute Morgan. He tells Rose that the element locks itself onto individuals' injury and spreads itself to new casualties. Every one of the casualties saw self-destruction, and they turned into the following casualties, so Robert killed somebody to keep the element from killing him. At the point when Rose lets him know that she can't kill anybody, Robert goes crazy and thinks that Rose carried the element with him, constraining him to be controlled. Rose returns home and has a go at conversing with Madeline, seeing her at home voluntarily. This ends up being the substance in the mask, since Madeline calls her for genuine minutes after the fact. The element, as Madeline, smiles at her and says Rose's opportunity is approaching. Dreading she must choose between limited options, Rose drives to her occupation with a blade. She goes into the structure and tracks down Carl's room, where she spurs him into blowing a gasket. Morgan runs in and sees Rose cutting Carl over and over. He shouts and seems to detach his face, yet this is only a horrible thing that Rose had after she dropped in her vehicle. She drives away when Morgan sees her, alongside the blade in her vehicle. Rose calls Joel and lets him know that she needs to seclude herself to prevent the element from spreading to any other individual. She drives dependent upon her life as a youngster at home where her mom kicked the bucket. At the point when it is dull, the substance seems to Rose as a tall, long-haired colossal variant of her mom that is continuously grinning. Rose communicates her displeasure toward her mom for how she acted because of her ailment and how she never got the assistance she really wanted. The substance follows and insults Rose until she sets it ablaze and runs out of the house as it consumes. She then goes to Joel's loft and claims that she at last disposed of it. Then, at that point, Joel tells her that she can never dispose of it, and he streaks an unpleasant grin. Yet again Rose was dreaming. She is still once again at the house. The element views her and removes its face prior to extending Rose's jaw open and moving into her mouth. Joel appears and goes into the house, just to track down Rose drenching herself with lamp oil. She pivots, blazing her own frightening grin, and she lights herself ablaze before a sickened Joel.